crown like cold winter light, scroll in hand, seven seals, every word cuts and heals. Like drums, sword raised high, kingdoms come, peace unstitched by a single roar. I hear thunder at my door, wars and rumors of wars, spoken like a curse in the dark. Every headline, every scar is another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars, hey, echo from the prophets and seers. When the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world shakes with our fears. Black horse ways, bread and bone, steel stilled heart, iron stone. Measure grain by a dying sun, silver short for everyone. Pale horse waits, eyes like ash, graves awake, tombs unlatch, Hades hangs on a trailing chain. Every pulse spells your name. Wars and rumors of wars, spoken like a curse in the dark. Every headline, every scar's another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars. Check. From the prophets and seers, when the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world shakes with our fears. Fifth seal opens. How long? How long? Blood at the altar becomes a song. Six seals shatter, sky like glass. Kings of the earth hide in the cracks. Wars and rumors of wars, spoken like a curse in the dark. Every headline, every scar is another cracked heart in the ark. Wars and rumors of wars, echo from the prophets and seers. When the Lamb breaks the seal, all the old world drowns in its
Damn it. Damn it. I was saying secret things, and it was so important. It happened when I changed scenes. That's what happens. Sometimes the mic is muted in the little thing, and I see it after you guys tell me, and then I get a little sad at myself. And not mad. I'm not getting angry. I'm just a little sad with myself. Let's see. I'm asking for something, as I always do. So the Plattner thing, like, I was sort of slapping my forehead. More of the conversation centered around kind of whether Mamdani is a socialist or not, which he isn't. None of the people who identify themselves as democratic socialists are actually socialists. It's a little silly. It's a lot silly, actually. They're just for democratic taxation. Apparently, they want tax dollars, which come from the money taken from the profits of capital expenditures and workers' salaries, and they want that directed at the stuff they want to prioritize over the stuff that other people want to prioritize. That is not socialism. Okay? It just isn't. It is not. It's not. Okay? That it's democratic taxation. It always has been. It always will be. But I got to reiterate this for the who's in the back. And so many people spend so much goddamn time defending the word as if it's it's more important than the programs you're talking about. They'll fight more for the word than the actual stuff. And that's what I was saying this morning on Blue Sky, if you follow me over there, about the fact that what really was displayed in the Plattner thing was that rank and file Democrats and the mainstream and centrists and whatevers will get in line behind a candidate even if it wasn't their choice. If a Bernie candidate gets in there, or a DSA candidate gets in there, they'll get behind them because they know the stakes are high, and compared to the alternative, it's the obvious adult choice. Hashtag choose less evil. It's not even a question until the ROI on how much you'll put up with shows up. But the opposite is not true. The DSA folks and the socialist identifying folks, the hashtag, the faux-gressives, I call them, they don't do that. They take their ball and go home. And if you need proof, Trump won last time, not because there was an extraordinary flood of Republican voters all of a sudden, but because 6 million Democrats, or people who call themselves Democrats or were lying about it, stayed home. That's what happened. It wasn't because they outnumbered us in the populace. They outnumbered us in the polling booth. And so I don't get panicked about Mamdani winning or oh my God, there's a DSA takeover of the Democrats, or whatever, because in the reality of the world, in a democracy, they're going to have to fight for their ideas. And I hope the social programs that they want, whatever hashtag you attach to them, actually happen. We should be pro-union. We should have universal health care of some sort. And again, it will be an incremental change. It will take time to get there, because you're going to have to get buy-in from more than half of the populace on it. So start climbing the fucking mountain. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And this is super crucial. Drag them to the polls if necessary. See, no, they've got to show up on their own. They got to help themselves. Anyways, so to the DSA and all those crowd, you're not socialists. Okay, so Alios, you're saying this is a diatribe, dude. So I'll try and get it on there. See if we're on the same in the same boat. This is a big one. Okay. In the USA, democratic socialist usually means a person who wants more democracy in the country, in the economy. For example, stronger worker power, unions, public services, healthcare access, housing support, limits on corporate power, while still supporting elections, civil liberties, and democratic government. Strictly defined, democratic socialism seeks a decentralized socialist economy within a democratically run political system. Britannica says it emphasizes democracy as both the method and, I'm guessing, the economic system. They can call it whatever they want, but it's a socially defined definition, and most of the people aren't paying attention to it. And the main thing that you said there was, you want stronger worker power, unions, public services, healthcare access, housing support, and limits on corporate power. That's the Democratic Party. That's just Democrats. That's just what Democrats always and have always pushed for, within the reality of the system we live in, where not everybody is bought in. There is no socialism aspect of it. There is none. There is no state-run version of the thing. Even the and ultimately where ultimately citizens pick up the slack and work, because there's no tax dollars without a market system to supply those tax dollars. Again, it's always just democratic taxation. It's just a label. This is what they want to call it, but that's what they say. So it doesn't matter. You're either for the programs or you're not. And when you get caught up in the jargon of it, that's how you get Plattner. Plattner was great with the jargon and a shit candidate. That's the issue. You got so caught up in wanting the jargon. You wanted a candidate that speaks your jargon so much and doesn't even speak to the reality of the office they will hold. That they won't go, I'm going to work very hard and I'm going to win over Republicans to this. Like, that's the reality of what you have to do to actually pass things. I know you hate it, but that's actually how it works. It is. Don't believe me? Look at the Infrastructure Act. The not only the first Infrastructure Act we passed, I think, since Clinton, right? But also one of the best environmental bills. It requires buy-in. You can't just fight, you have to convince. And if you're just yelling, you're not going to convince them. And that's where it becomes that's where it becomes indistinguishable from the mechanic of MAGA. Does that make sense? And you have to understand, we want the same thing. But I think it's better to work out, eat right, get sleep, and and brush your teeth and bathe regularly. The incremental things you do as a human being, as opposed to don't do any of those things until a pill comes along that does it for you. That's the issue. Or do some of them and go, fuck, I have to do this again tomorrow. That's the mentality of the TYT crowd. That's take your ball and go home. If we don't get everything, nobody gets anything. It's how Trump got elected. 6 million people standing down because they would rather stomp their feet and give power to Donald Trump. And the idea that anybody has, and I'd love to hear it, anybody who thinks from, on our alleged side, from Kalinsky, who's still backing Plattner, I guess, to TYT and all that crowd, and, like Hamas Piker and all those guys, explain to me how, really tell us all, not just me, tell us all how you believe Harris would have done all of these things and at the same time not prioritize the environment, housing, a strong social safety net. And that if you don't get all of it at once, if we don't get hashtag Medicare for all and we're out, if we don't get that, anything where you try to move us forward, help those people, is a bigger betrayal than just handing the country over to the Trumps of the world. And by the way, this is exactly how MAGA talks about Trump when he doesn't do shit. TYT brought to you by Polymarket Studios. Are they one of the ad guys for that, like Gold? The Young Turks. It's Cenk Uygur and Anna's little garage network in Culver City that was brought to you by David Geffen originally, and then somebody said yesterday that Peter Thiel funds him. I haven't found anything that supports that idea, but I'm sure he's glad they're there depressing the Democratic vote. So the values are what is important. The name doesn't matter. And progress and success are measured in reality, not on we gave them what for and failed again to make any progress for anybody. And by the way, especially when it hurts other people, because like I said, when you have Jimmy Dore calling for a fucking national strike, and he's saying that, from the warm side of a bay window in his multi-million-dollar house in the Hollywood Hills, and he will stream that day. He's not going to take that day off. You see what I'm pointing at here? Oh, Polymarket bought their studio. It's on one of their biggest sponsors. Oh, fucking hell. Polymarket is a political manipulation tool. It's the new TikTok. It is. It's the same people manipulating the public discourse by feeding money into these into these betting schemes on this. People are valuable because of, I mean, it's worth it for somebody to bet on a candidate they know will lose as a political donation to the person that they're trying to undermine on the other side. So there you go. Anyways, the point is that until your labels aren't as important, until your values are more important than your labels, you will keep having Plattners and Republicans will keep having Trumps. Yeah. I've seen about 7 companies that's on the wagon of lab-grown meat. We'll get there. It'll take a while, though. Some are upset about taking AIPAC money. Yeah, being anti-AIPAC or anti-Netanyahu is not anti-Semitic. I don't think that's the case. But again, some of them take AIPAC money because they need money to fight against a Republican in a race. They need all the money they can get because the other side is so well funded, and it's not like they're signing off on anything that Israel wants. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are pushing back on that. There's a balance there. The balance isn't sexy, though. It's the same reason, again, Republicans call it the deep state and not just bureaucracy, because bureaucracy is boring grandparents' words for the difficulty of getting a large group of people to agree on something, and people who are hired to set and keep rules doing their fucking job while we all make up our mind. So, anyways, if you think that me saying, and this is just to check yourself on this. If you think me dismissing the idea that the Democratic Socialists of America, or people who call themselves socialists in this country especially, are actual socialists, unless they are advocating for no public property, the seizing of all means of production by the state, which is what that means, that if they're throwing democratic on the top of it, it can't be socialism. It's not how it works. And capitalism is not our governing system. And it's a pejorative word that socialists in South America created for a market economy. And it doesn't actually speak to, 90% of how our economy runs. That's why we call it the upper 10%, the upper 1%. That crowd are capitalists. That's who the capitalists are. Those are people who use money to make money. The rest of us operate in a market system, which is what actually defines the economy of our country. That's why they always talk about how the small business in the country is the biggest business of all, because it's a market economy. You make something, or you have a trade, you bring it to market, you see who would like you to do that for them, or sell your wares to them, and you try to maximize what you can get for it, because you would like to you don't want to just go, this cost me $3 to make here. The person goes, I'll give you $3 for it. You're like, what the fuck did I come into town for? I wasted all the calories walking into town, right? Again, everything operates on a profit mechanism, even the way you eat. If it took as many calories to lift the fork to your face as there were calories on the fork, you would die. Democratic socialism is still socialism, but with a prettier name. No, it isn't. It's the other way around. It's democratic taxation with a name that attracts young voters. That's what they think. It's another Ron Paul scheme. It's audit the Fed. It's another version of audit the Fed. Hashtag audit the Fed. Run on that, put it on everywhere, and never do it, because that's not how it works, and it won't. But again, if you're more offended about my disagreement on the word than you are at the way Donald Trump is running the country, and you didn't vote, that's the only people I'm addressing in this situation, then you don't even believe, then the jargon is more important than the values. Okay, so that said, right out of the gate, I felt a little diatribe. We'll save that for later. People can argue this. This is like when I bring up that I don't do drugs and I have no interest in it, and everybody who uses drugs is like, "What the fuck, dude? Why are you picking on me?" I'm like, it's a personal choice. I believe in your personal choice as well. I'm just not going to do it. Consider me the lab rat in the experiment taking the placebo. See if I can have a creative, interesting, and I don't know, an exploration-filled life. Oh, whose birthday was it? Hold on. Oh, the Pill Dreamer. Happy birthday. We'll still love you from today forward. I'm just saying. When I'm 64. So, just to like kind of get that off the chest, that I'm not afraid of the DSA candidates because I know in reality it's a label. It really is. And the only problem I will ever have with any of this is if they hold their nose on stuff that we could have progress on. Like, it's one thing to stop the National Defense Authorization Act because you're like, I'm not, we need to talk about healthcare. It's one thing to do that. That makes total fucking sense. It's another thing entirely to try to kill the ACA and denigrate it and give the Republicans ammo the entire time because it has to die because you believe it will automatically at some point magically be filled with Medicare for all. That kind of strategy is evil because you're like, I'm not going to be hurt. And fuck those people, the poor people who can't afford insurance and all that stuff that are being kicked off Obamacare and stuff. You go do your little workers' strike. I'll sit here, on the warm side of my bay window. That's the issue. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah? I'm also a big fan of verbal filibusters. I think we'd be better off if every time Democrats threaten or have a filibuster, it's a talker. Get out there and state your values for hours. Okay. That said, the war's back on. And I know what you're thinking. Hal, it was never off, like you said. Yeah. The MOU was always garbage. Trump even bitched in one of his things like, we said in the meeting, we're going to, they said they're going to denuclearize, and then they came out of the meeting and said, we didn't even talk about it. They're cuckoo. Like, he said that in one of these things. I'll see if I can find it. This is semi-live. This is going on currently. This is because they've decided to, I guess, restart attacks. We'll find out in a minute. I don't know how long is this part of it is. But anyways, the point about that is that Democrats are going to fold in behind any of the DSA candidates as long as they're not calling for political violence and the destruction of our fellow man, and they can argue their point and they're a good candidate for their district. We'll support them. Again, if Bernie had been the nominee, I would have voted for him as a Democrat. He also, again, if I might add, ran as a Democrat saying no super PACs and all small donors. If you do that, you're using the DNC as a super PAC because that's their function. They're the superest of PACs. And you would be counting on all the large donors to carry you through the general. So basically, you're small donoring it to the primary stage, but you're expecting to be carried by the donor class and everybody else who's donating to the DNC through the general. Otherwise, you just run as an independent and call it a day if you can't make the money. Right? Okay. So, anyways. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Trump has said these are crazy cuckoo people. And he's tired of talking to the crazy cuckoo
stars.
Hold on. Or am I? Yeah. Turn this off.
Superstars, actually. But we want to thank you very much. We've had a tremendous time and I think a great success. And we just concluded a very successful NATO summit here in.
Oof. There's a lot of high end on that mic. Picks up a lot of the wheezing and snorting.
Turkey, and I want to.
Turkey, thank you for naming a building after me and making the letters gold. Enjoy your F-35s.
Thank President Erdogan, who's really a great man. He's a great leader. He's a friend of mine, been a friend of mine for...
The symmetry of this stage is annoying me. I know Stephen Miller is fucking useless, but can you move him to the other side of Hegseth at least?
a long time.
I don't even know why Whitaker's there.
He's a strong person, a very strong personality, and that's why he runs such a successful and good company, country.
Company and country. Turkey Incorporated.
And really a great, I would say, great...
Hegseth just laughed at him for saying company. That's a no-no. That's going to go on his little card.
Such a successful and good company, country, and really...
See that? Right away. You know what that means? You know, like how fast he reacted? You know what that means? That means he and Marco and other people were talking about Captain Tapioca Brain on the flight over, and they're like, fuck, man. When he said, well, shit, hold on. I don't even know if, this is a rough one. Let's go to here. Where he said that this morning, he at his, or maybe it was last night, but his sit down with Zelensky. And where are we? Yeah, I think this one's it. Hold on. Yeah. I think this is the one.
A lot of energy. A lot of energy. Do you have a question for President Putin, please?
Yes, the president of Turkey Incorporated is a great and powerful man, and you could tell by how big the letters are on the building he gave me. Also, Zelensky is sitting right next to him.
Energy. A lot of energy. Do you have a question for President Putin, please?
Oh, shit. And it didn't get better. He walked back the F-35 thing in another meeting when Erdogan wasn't sitting there. It's just...
President, do you have a question for President Putin? Not so much. Summit here in Turkey, and I want to thank President Erdogan, who's really a great man. He's a great leader. He's a friend of mine, been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a strong person, a very strong personality, and that's why he runs such a successful...
No, it's the saliva thing, man.
...and good company, country, and really a great, I would say, great country, military.
Shit company, though.
He's...
I mean, really. I mean, how good can your business be when your biggest product only sells once a year?
Very powerful. People leave him alone. But he's really done a fantastic job. And
people leave him alone. That's a sign of power. A little wishful thinking on Trump's part, you think? Just leave me alone. Is he entering his George Michael's mid-90s phase? I want to be alone.
The moment we got off the plane, you look at the airports were beautiful. They built a new terminal for our arrival. Everything was beautiful. And so I just want to thank President Erdogan, who's done a fantastic job in Turkey. And I also want to thank NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Mark is an extraordinary person, smart, great leader. It's not easy leading so many leaders like that. Got a lot of leaders.
Oh, shit. Not easy leading leaders. It's not easy being green either. I've heard that from a very strong leader of the Muppets.
They're strong personalities, every one of them. And Mark...
So it wasn't special when you said that that Erdogan had a strong personality. It's just kind of par for the course, is it?
Mark does an unbelievable job. Couldn't find anybody better. I just want to say there was tremendous...
So I guess NATO is doomed if he leaves?
Tremendous love in that room. The press got to see the sitting, but they didn't get to see the speaking. And I actually said...
They got to see the sitting.
Too bad the press
You think he's seen the thing? He saw the video of him having trouble sitting down?
couldn't see this because every one of them spoke for a little while, and I spoke
Yeah, that's how these things go.
for a little while, and it's a lot of speeches. We kept it short.
Okay. These are the details we all came for.
But
Did you have a stopwatch or?
it's too bad the press couldn't have seen what we were doing in that room because
It would have been a lot easier for Putin to plan against all these other countries. But don't worry, I had a small device in my American flag pin. It was a gift from Vladimir.
it was very smart people, and they have a lot of good in their heart, not evil, good.
Oh, I wondered what the opposite of that was.
And they're doing a great job for their country. The world is doing well. We have
The world is doing well. The world's, I took a look around. They're all wearing nice suits. The world must be fine.
As you know, the oil is down. We'll see whether or not we keep it down. We should keep it down.
I don't think so. Not if you're announcing what we think you're announcing.
We're doing things that should have been done 47 years ago with Iran. And I just want to say that throughout my first term and over the past 18 months, the United States has led a historic effort to dramatically increase the defense spending and to
Oh, God, the slurping. Holy shit. Call Doc Adam.
have equipment that no other country in the world has. When you look at Venezuela, when you look at Iran, essentially demolished their military in
Oh, fuck, dude.
a couple of weeks. They had a good military. They had a good navy. They had 159 ships. Everyone's at the bottom of the sea. They had
Ugh, I don't know if I can get through the slurping. God damn.
hundreds of airplanes. They're all gone.
Yeah. To Pakistan.
They're all lying burned up on the runways.
You didn't hit them while they were still in the hangar? I thought you'd have bragged about that.
They were totally decimated. Their radar's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone, frankly.
Frankly, who are you talking to?
And their combat capability is pretty low. They have
Pretty low.
a small percentage of missiles left. They have some of the missile launchers left.
But no missiles. So they're just loading them up with plague chickens and cattle like fucking the Holy Grail. Feshy la bosh.
But most of that's been destroyed too. So we have the strongest military in the world.
Oh, dude, just read the shit and leave the stage. Look at Marco. Oh, this shit again.
By far, not even close. Everybody admits it.
That's always been true. That's been true since World War II, at least. Shit, before then. Since World War I would argue, since everybody was borrowing our shit for World War II.
Last year's summit in the Netherlands was great also, and we
Still got the t-shirt.
achieved an unprecedented agreement to increase the annual defense spending, and it's the benchmark,
Says benchmark on the paper.
raising it from 2% to 5% of GDP, which everybody said was impossible. And now they're all thanking me, and most of the countries have agreed to it. We have a couple of
They're doing it because they have to. If Russia attacks, they don't trust you'll come to their aid. And if you do, you'll drag it as long as possible. If Congress insists and the American people are like, what the fuck? He'll go, oh, okay, well, we'll see.
couple of that didn't, but I have a feeling they're going to,
He means Spain and no.
and pretty quickly. In fact, today they were very positive. One of them in particular was, I didn't think, a good team player today.
Why is NATO backwards and forwards? Because in some Latin languages, you read it like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization instead of the Organization of Treaties for the Atlantic Nations. That's the way.
Team player, as all of the leaders understand very well the United States remains by far the largest contributor to NATO, monetarily and maybe otherwise. And
What's the otherwise? We're like, we send cheerleaders?
Strongest military anywhere in the world. And
You mentioned that.
respect us as a country. Again, they didn't respect us 2 years ago. They laughed at us. NATO laughed at us. Everybody laughed at us.
Jesus Christ. You know everybody in there is cringing.
They don't laugh anymore. There's no more
They can't because you're a nutcase with the nukes.
laughing. This year we invested a record $1 trillion in.
Oh, sorry, by the way. Sorry. The mic is blocking most of it, but just in case.
Our armed forces, and we're going to be asking for 1.5 trillion coming up. We have the money being spent on the best equipment
Oh, getting a little gravelly.
anywhere in the world. In the working session this morning,
Yeah, he's doing the old man, noises between words too.
we discussed the progress other members are making toward the 5% target, and they're making great progress. Many of these countries are very rich, by the way. We don't have to feel sorry for them. But it doesn't mean they're properly protected. There's a big difference. Some have truly answered the call, and others are making big changes.
Oh, God. Can AI take the slurping out? That would be a big advance.
And will be answering the call. I think I can say in all cases they're going to be answering.
Yeah, and 72% of the case, more than anyone's ever seen before, though, certainly.
The call.
Hal Sparks, is that you? Yes, that is me.
And we'll be taking in over $1 trillion a year toward defense.
No, you won't. We'll be spending over that's your budget, dum-dum.
And that's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. Some would even say unfucking necessary. Seriously, we're entering the era of like AI and drone warfare, like cheap, like prosumer drones are controlling the battlefield right now, and our answer to it is to add 50% to our already bloated defense budget.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Buying gold tennis rackets for everybody to bat the fucking things away?
They were 2%. They were actually at 1%. I got them to 2%. Then I wanted to get them to 5%. And we got up to 5% the last time. And they're...
Glory days, his little young girl's eyes, glory days.
Just again, if you could have
Oh, God.
seen the respect and the love in the room. And
Oh, the love, you mean the suck up, because they know you're nuts. You should be suspicious of people who are flattering you, dum-dum. Especially when you have as big a military as you have, and you're as short-tempered, short-sighted, and stupid as you are. But then again, he'd have to be a completely different person to...
for the country, for our country. I don't want to say me, because you'll say, oh, he's so conceited. He's such a conceited person.
No, actually, I don't think you're conceited. I think you have low self-esteem. As a true narcissist, I would like to point out that I think you're scared of your own reflection because you're disgusted by it. I truly could drown looking at a reflection of myself in a river. But you, on the other hand, are mad at everyone who doesn't pretend you're handsome. For real. And skinny. And 6'3". How fucking tall is Marco Rubio?
I mean, they like the job I'm doing. They said, we love you.
Oh, God. Yeah, did they give you a piece of cake and let you blow out the candle? Is it pudding cup day at the old folks' home? Sir, we love you. What? We love... He can't understand at this point.
These are grown people saying that, isn't it?
Grown people don't say love. That's the thing of children. When you grow up, hate is what you have.
Yes, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get to me.
Ah, look at that. It's dawning on him, finally. This is going to be a sad plane ride home.
And in the way they did, because there was...
In a way they did. Yeah, they put your name on a fucking building in Turkey, and you're giving them F-35s and taking off all the sanctions, even though they back Hamas, you tit.
Disunity in that room. And I urge all nations to accelerate their plans to get the benchmark as quickly as possible. The benchmark is going to be that 5% number.
Yeah, I think we've heard that mentioned at some point. I don't know.
It's a number it should have been for years. As a result of the commitment we...
God damn, I haven't heard slurping like that since I was at the dentist and they used that little hose on me. Open up for Mr. Thirsty.
Defense spending of other NATO members surged by more than almost $150 billion.
Oh, shit. What is that? 2 planes?
In 2025, and much of that money is being spent on American-made equipment. They all want American-made equipment.
Gee, could this just be a sales conference for you? I'm starting to understand why he gave Victor Bout back to Russia. I'm almost surprised he didn't make him DNI.
We're...
why is he so slurpy? Old manness, or is it medically based? Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Because it's probably exaggerated by the medicines that he is on. But it is definitely old man swallow reflex issues. We've talked to Doc Adam about that. He brings that up with the elderly that he works with. And especially when Trump is leaning forward, the saliva moves forward in his mouth and he's overproducing to talk and vocalize. And so he when he lifts his head up, he slurps it all. I'm fucking grossing myself out talking about it. God damn. I need a fucking slurp warning to go with the nut thing. But the other thing is certain stimulants, Adderall, what's the other one? Modafinil, right? The one they take for sleep shift disorder that everybody, like the big thing with Ronnie Jackson was they hand out Ambien on the flight over and modafinil when they land because it fast resets your body clock and wakes you up. But people take it because it was like thought of being like the limitless pill, right? So more than likely in situations like this, they are giving him a dose of modafinil to help him stay awake because of the jet lag and the change in time zones, and him being old is I don't know, his the spray tan chemicals. I don't know, were they created at the birth of the universe or?
Pushing very hard to have the defense companies, and they're great. We make the best equipment, the Patriots and the Tomahawks, and everything we have is considered to...
He remembers Patriots because he just gave Zelensky the ability to... We're going to talk about that with Phil in the next hour. He's going to be joining us from Kyiv, which is good, and we all wait with bated breath to make sure he's okay.
Be the best. Not by me, it's everybody wants it. I wish we made it faster because we could sell.
Yeah, that's what we want. That's what America really wants. You do realize, you want to talk about fucking socialism... well, it's more monarchical. Let's be honest. It's not actually socialism, but it's corporate socialism or corporate like crony capitalism is really what it is. But the idea that the king makes cannons, and their cannons are so good, other kingdoms want to buy the cannons. So he takes people away from jobs building cannons for his own country, or more than likely building rifles and other stuff, blacksmiths and metallurgists and all that kind of stuff, and moves them to building cannons for other countries that eventually, yeah.
As much as we could make, and as you know, I had Lockheed and every one of the companies, all of
yeah, Lockheed's good enough.
The companies, which Raytheon as an example, Boeing, so many of those great companies are now building plants. They had big plants, but they were using...
Sorry, they're moving into farming?
...them 24/7. I said, that's not the way to do it. You have to build more plants. You don't have to just go overtime. No tax on overtime. Remember that, please. No tax
Asshole, you're not at home.
on overtime. Those people are happy.
You're in Turkey.
But they were doing literally 24 hours to get the Tomahawks done and the Patriots done and all of the other defensive
Bullets
and offensive equipment
depleted uranium shells
done. It's the most sought after equipment in the world. You saw that with Venezuela, where they had a lot of great equipment. It wasn't ours, and it didn't work. Our equipment works, but we have to produce it faster for other countries.
like Venezuela. Fuck, he's going to sell this shit to them. Then they're going to have another revolution. And then they're going to have all that shit. Is that the idea? What a dum-dum.
Everybody, including ourselves, we have to produce it faster. So we think within a year and a half max, we'll be instead
That's because that's all the time you got.
of waiting for a year or 2 years, we'll be having it on a 2-week.
Yeah, in case, I know some of you want to get to Warren quick.
Wait, maybe a 1-week wait. That's what I want.
A 1-week wait. We're just selling them like hotcakes. Patriot missiles in stacks of 10 with syrup on them.
And it'll do really well. A lot of people are, just waiting. They're waiting. They want to get.
This is fucking terrible. We got the hottest. I was told by someone before, they used to laugh at our missiles, and now we've got the hottest missiles in the world.
This defensive equipment, maybe in particular the defensive equipment, but offensive and defense. As much of that money is being spent on American-made equipment.
Yeah, you read that sentence already. That's what started this weave.
That's the money that the
That you read from the same sentence you just read twice.
European and Canada are spending, European countries mostly, and Canada. And they're spending that with the United States, largely. And it's American.
Sorry, we're not getting all of the $180 billion. As by the way, we have a $27 trillion economy. Just thought I'd point that out.
Made in the USA, as we said.
Yeah, we're going to stamp it on the side of everyone. We're going to have it, actually, we're going to put it in like LED lighting so you can see it. Putting warheads on foreheads, bitches.
Weapons, munitions, supporting thousands of American jobs. This will increase. We have the highest number of jobs. Right now, we have the most people working in the United States
Well, somebody's going to have to get fired so they can go work in the death machine.
that we've ever had in the history of our country.
Because that's how population works.
We have the biggest investment ever made, $19.2
Oh, God. Don't tell them that's the European countries. They know you're lying.
trillion. That's 6 times more than we've ever had. Think of it, 6 times. And what did that were tariffs. Without the tariffs, I think we would have done fine.
You don't have the tariffs now, shithead. So why would they live up to it if they don't have to worry about the tariffs anymore? Why?
About 2 or 3. The last administration had much less than $1 trillion invested for 4 years. We have $19.2 trillion.
Oh, by the way, I'd like to remind everyone that I went through this yesterday and broke down the number. And of the 9.2 that the White House actually accounts for, 9.2, not 19, 9. Of that amount, it includes the federal budget investment. That's right. So the money that the federal government spends, he's adding to his stack of money being invested in the United States. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The tax dollars you pay and the money we borrow is being invested in the United States as just because of him. And so think of it. Think of this. Think of it. The more he spends, the bigger the investment in the country. He's not blowing the fucking budget. He's not raising the deficit and the debt. No, he's investing. So to all the Republicans who somehow balk at government spending on projects, especially, that makes up what, 85% of what he's taking credit for, and the rest of it is all just like, yeah, it's all totally, we're going to get around to it. Fucking Japan's $500 billion investment, wink, wink, wink. Go find that money.
Invested in 1 year. We haven't gone into the extra almost a half a year, 1.5 years. Those numbers won't come out for a little while.
Oh, they're already coming out.
So we have
out of the total
19.2 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion with it.
Yeah, they use the metric system over there. You're probably going to have to tell them in centimeters or something.
T invested in plants and equipment that's being built all over the country. Eli Lilly is building plants, big drug, Merck, all of them. The drug companies are building.
Oh, yeah, and Maha is happy about that. Hey, all you hippie chicks that wanted to bump uglies with RFK Jr., congratulations. Roundup, it cannot be sued for cancer even if it causes it. And the pharmaceutical companies, MAGA, congratulations. You know those companies that you were shitting on during COVID that were part of some big conspiracy? Now, I mean, obviously, never mind the fact that that Trump started Operation Fart Steed, right? Hold on.
Captain's log.
Yeah. Never mind that. But he's now touting the plants that are being built to create drugs in the United States. Now, I don't want to upset any of you guys, and maybe this will make you feel better. Maybe I'll make you feel better. The plants that the pharmaceutical companies are building in the United States to make crucial medicines are part of funding and grants and tax breaks that they got under Biden, so that if we ever gotten a dust up with China over Taiwan or something like that, and our main source of ibuprofen or antibiotics got cut off, we could make them here in the country. It was a supply chain response post-COVID that was obvious for years and needed to be done. People wanted to do it for years, and Biden did it.
The car companies are building like crazy. In fact, as you probably...
Yeah, they're building like crazy. They're putting the wheels on top now.
saw a big
It's wacky.
announcement yesterday.
They've got convertible bottoms.
Toyota
That sounds naughty.
is leaving Mexico, and they're going to build one of the biggest car manufacturing plants in the world in Texas. That's because of the tariffs, because we don't mind if you build in Mexico, but if you build in Mexico, you have to pay 25% tariff. If you build in...
No, you don't. USMCA worked around that. Because of USMCA, they dodged those tariffs, stupid. And they never did.
Japan, or if you build in any...
If you build in Japan, you get a 15% tariff. If GM has a plant in Mexico, which they do, and they built a car there because the labor is cheaper, even than China, by the way. The labor is cheaper in Mexico than it is in China right now. If GM builds a car in Mexico, they pay a 25% tariff, but Japan pays 15%. Why? Because they promised a bullshit $500 billion, trust fund that may never materialize. Get the fuck out of here.
Now, China is a much higher tariff. This is 100% tariff because we don't want to lose our jobs. We don't want to have our work.
I want you to lose your job.
Workers lose their jobs. We have the largest number of plants being built for the most money ever.
Oh my God. No, we don't. And he only does this because he includes AI data centers, which will start with all of 10 employees and work their way to fucking zero. It's only logical and just for efficiency. Again, to my dear socialist friends, if computer processing and AI and the internet and all these things become public goods, the best thing for workers in the country is access to those things. And the way you do that is by having factories with no one in them for those services. You automate everything so that the service goes to zero. The cost of the service goes to zero. It's the same cost savings that they're looking for. This is just stupid. Mark Cuban even like he said something on one of the CNBCs or something like that. And I'm gonna make sure that Phil's got the right number for me. He's got the right one. Yeah, we're okay, I think. Because he'll be in a minute. Mark Cuban was saying like, OpenAI is never going to pay back their $1 trillion of investment. Yeah, I agree. AI is going to become a utility. And every major head, including Elon Musk and Sam Altman and all these guys, should get on the legacy train. Altman might. I don't see Musk doing this. And stop trying to get fucking money out of this, because it's like it will be like trying to own water or at some point. Sorry, Phil in the green room. I see him. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I'm able to hear him over here. Yep. So, and I'll bring him in 1 minute. But they're in the business of putting themselves out of business. And Mark Cuban was like, they're not going to make the money back. Of course they're not. In the same way, like the internet was constructed, the physical infrastructure was constructed through public works for defense during the Cold War. It was the intranet. And then and again, Al Gore, it was his idea. Hand it over to the public. We've got a new one. It's better. We'll give this one to the public, see what they do with it. That's how that happened. That's where the whole Al Gore created the internet thing came from. He was the only guy in the room who understood it. When they were all talking about it, he was like, yeah, just turn it loose. Let it be another telecommunication device that people can do business through. But just because the dot-com bubble crashed, we're all still using the internet. Here we are. I'm going to bring Phil in. Give me 1 second and see. Hold on. I've got to do this and jump over here. It's always something. There was an issue earlier. There we go. That's the guest and the thing. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. And because I have to put him in this little place. Hold on. There we go. And let's see. Make him guest one, and we'll bring him in just 3, 2, 1. There he is. Hey, Phil. Hold on 1 second. Let me bring you in. Welcome to the show. I don't think I hear you.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
no.
Now I hear you. We're all good. All good.
You hear me?
Yep. All good. So, I guess welcome. Congrats on being in a country run by President Putin, apparently now. I don't know if you saw any of the NATO stuff, but it's been a joy to watch. With
I didn't see the latest stuff. I saw the stuff with him and Zelensky running circles around him, and I saw Zelensky's address to the whatever, I guess it was, the General Assembly. But I haven't seen the latest stuff. So I don't know if
yeah,
he said anything with Rubio there.
Yeah, Trump I was just playing like this kind of like end of NATO summit gaggle he was doing. I don't even know if he ever gets to questions. Maybe he will. But he threatened Iran with nuclear warfare today again on his way out the door. So exactly. I'll show you that right now if we can. Here you go.
We had.
Hold on.
After these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. It's they trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when.
Oh wait, hold on. This is the older one. This is the other one. He did it in writing. That was the other thing. Okay, beg your pardon. I will get to the clip. I had that up on another thing. But he's basically done it again. That he's threatened the civilization again, basically, and I guess that that everybody will be gone. That's the whole thing. And I think ultimately, honestly, I think he means the leadership and the IRGC and the battle or whatever. But when he says everyone will be gone, it sounds like the people of the country, and you can understand why they might be a little nervous about how what kind of orders this guy might be giving, and what kind of orders a person like Keg Breath might be carrying out.
Yeah. Well, he's a moron, a dangerous moron, and his appearances at the NATO summit were embarrassing, and uh, it's just
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how we got here. I'm sorry.
I,
I'm a little
no,
sleep deprived because, as
I
you
know, I
may have
understand.
heard,
Hmm. Yeah,
as you may have heard, one of the problems is that we have here in Kiev is we've run out of patriots. So I haven't had a full night's sleep in about 4 or 5 days. So
right.
yeah, I'm a little fuzzy.
I appreciate you being here at all, brother. And if you need to tap out at any point, you're allowed. I do
No,
worry
no, no,
about
no.
I do worry about the new front we're up against because I don't know if you know this, but apparently we were, I guess, fired on by the Islamic Republic of Japan.
I told the story yesterday. We had 111 missiles shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot.
Yeah,
111.
yeah, 111 missiles shot at us by the Islamic Republic of Japan. Now, there were 11 missiles. And so, to anybody who's trusting his economic theories, I just want to say, like, he's he he said he's swapping out 111 for 11, and then the Islamic Republic of Iran. He also said he's big on tic tac, which is a Freudian slip because that's the mint he chooses when he kisses women against their will. He said it during the Access Hollywood tapes. Has anybody got a Tic Tac or whatever? He always carries them with him because he's gonna mash on some poor woman. Right.
He never knows when he's going to have to molest somebody.
Right. Yeah. So I will say obviously he brought up Greenland again and all this kind of, but like at this point we've just kind of like it would gloss over when it happens because it's not going anywhere. Even the F-35 thing that he did with Turkey, he pulled it back in the statement today when it was somebody else in the room. So
the big thing I saw from him. Well, okay, so look, I really am tired, Hal.
Yes, I understand.
And part of it is because we don't have any Patriots. We've run out of Patriots. So we have no air defense against hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and the Russians have been absolutely pounding this place. Mm-hmm. So the big thing that I saw out of today, one of the biggest things I saw out of today was this kind of patronizing, we're going to let you build your own Patriot missile.
Right.
Well, actually, Donald, the Ukrainians are already like miles down the road on developing their own Patriot missile system.
Right.
Or a comparable missile system. And, the Ukrainians have come to the the awareness that they're going to have to do this on their own. And that's why I thought it was so funny when he said, Trump said to Zelensky, would you go to Moscow? Would you go to Moscow for talks? And Zelensky was like, I don't know. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones that are hitting Moscow.
Right. That was a great dunk.
Just a great answer. Just so funny.
Let me tell you what, since you're tired, I will give you a bit of a break by showing you that moment, especially about this where Trump's asking, Zelensky if he would go to Moscow for a meeting, to meet with Putin. And this is
because at the very beginning of full-scale war, he was stronger, and now I think he is losing initiative on the battlefield. I think his army, but that's why I think that because of technologies, because it's not the question now of number of people. People are our heroic people are very important, but now it's not the question of only number of people. First of all, people and technologies, people with technologies. Now I think that we have better steps, technological steps further than Russia, maybe quicker, because they also you know that they produce a lot of different things, which are tough, strong against us, but we are quicker, and that's why I think that now initiative moved to our hands, not totally, but moved. We are trying to move this war to the sky from the battlefield. That's why we now begin to control the battlefield. This is very important. It's difficult
how
when you
Trump
have
is
less
staring at
people
him
to move
like,
them back.
How does this
But
guy know
we
all
found
this
another
stuff?
way how to do it.
He calls him a genius
Yeah.
later. He says it went during the Patriot thing. He said these are great geniuses in Ukraine because they can assemble stuff, and he's just flummoxed by everything Zelensky is saying. Because maybe it's because Keg Breath and others have lied about Zelensky, or the maggots have lied about Zelensky for so long that Trump can't kind of reconcile the. It's like the opposite with Trump when the maggots are like, he's the greatest spokesman, he talks just like me, and then they meet him, are like, oh my God, he's going to spit up on me.
But their logistic for their army, it's about weapon, petrol, diesel, without massive human losses. That is the difference between us, by the way. Russia is, I mean, this
He's got a lot of support. I just left a room with, where they have, mostly European, you have Canada,
Oh God, this is fucking dumb.
but mostly European
My God,
countries.
this is embarrassing.
And they have great support for
It's true.
Ukraine. And, really great support. One of the things you talk about questions for Putin, but one of the things that I talked to him about was where would you want to meet? And he said, ideally in Moscow. I said, you're not going to meet in Moscow. It just doesn't work. You can't do that. But he'll meet, and Zelensky's going to meet, and something's going to happen that's going to be positive. And I think,
Yeah, just.
I hope it's going to happen
Just
soon.
Horrible
Because they have,
diarrhea.
number one, lives, but number two, building your country, because it's got a tremendous future, in my opinion. Yeah,
Where was it held and when would that happen?
I don't know.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
President Putin said, "I would love to meet in Moscow," and I said, "I don't think I have to put myself in his position. I don't know that he'd go to Moscow. Maybe he would. Would you go to Moscow?"
It's difficult. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones there. That's right. It's dangerous.
Killed it. Just and it like
Yes. Slam dunk.
and you gotta
Just
understand.
shut up. Mic drop right there.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
And
Shut
got
up, you stupid old man.
And he got like a solid, honest,
Laugh.
non-kiss ass laugh.
Yeah.
Advice.
Yeah.
Europe.
No, it's hard. It's hard to go to Moscow. It's a little hard.
It's hard to go Moscow. He says he mixes Ukraine and Moscow together.
Europe.
No, it's hard. It's hard to go to Moscow.
To Yuk Moscow.
It's a little hard. I thought I'd answer that
Mr.
question.
President,
and I didn't want to ask him that question.
Mr. President, how to ensure that Ukraine will not be attacked again?
Yeah. Okay. So he got a
Will
lot
not
of
be
like
attacked again.
right. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, all right. I've been in gaggles like that in the press corps, and when you're in a press corps gaggle, you're just trying to grab attention. So
Sure.
I'll give a lot of leeway to that last journalist question. Like, will Ukraine? Yeah, we're going to get attacked again. We're going to get attacked again. We're going to get attacked again in 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it's going to be another night of intense attacks and and ballistic missiles. They know we don't have Patriots. We can't defend ourselves. And they'll just pound the hell out of us. And we'll get there eventually. It's not going to change anything. We should have more Patriots.
Just in her defense, because I didn't finish the question. I don't know that. I wonder if she meant get attacked again, like is happening nightly, because I think fairly consistently there's an awareness about this. I think she means if they make an agreement with Russia, Russia will just come back again. Like, and I think she's trying to elbow him towards security guarantees and that kind of question, because I don't know that he would understand that. But that's
Yeah, it's
the crucial
entirely
part of this.
possible. I mean, that's entirely possible. I mean, well, and also, um, Ukraine has been pounding the hell out of Russia. Has deep strikes into I think it's
Hmm.
Omsk. They hit 12 of Russia's shadow fleet, which is
Hmm.
providing them the funds to keep their war machine going. Um, it's not. They have been pounding us in Kiev badly, and it sucked.
Yeah.
Um, but also, the Ukrainians have been pounding the hell out of the Russians, and they've been destroying their domestic ability to. I mean, you look at these enormous lines of cars,
Oh yeah.
outside of gasoline stations, petrol stations.
Hmm.
The fact that they're hitting the shadow fleet, the fact that they're hitting deep into um, Russian territory. It's not unilaterally that the Russians are pounding the hell out of us here in Kiev, although they are. They are. I mean,
Hmm.
I literally I have not had a full night's. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I have not had a full night's sleep in at least 4 days. I think maybe 5 days. Um, Certainly, yeah. I think since the fourth, the third, the second going into the third, and then like constantly. And it's clear that the Ukrainians have run dry on a lot of air defense
Right.
capabilities. So it sucks. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. But the Ukrainians are giving as good as they're getting, and um, this thing about like, oh, we're going to let them develop Patriots. Well, okay, yeah, we'll take it. It'd be a lot easier as if you just sold it to the Europeans and the Europeans passed it along if that's
Hmm.
what you want to do. But again, I mean, the Ukrainians are getting to a technological level where they can. Um, I mean, we're well past the big milestone mark was 60% of internal domestic capability for the war effort, and that happened about 4 months ago,
Right.
and maybe more. And they're edging up towards increasingly being able to actually um, produce their own uh, defense capability. Uh, the big one is the Patriot. The big one because they have these hypersonic missiles, and nothing hits nothing hits Russian hypersonic missiles, the Kinjal, or some of the other ones that the Russians have, um, except for with a Patriot.
Right.
But they're increasingly getting to a point where they will be able to produce a comparable system. It probably won't come online before the end of the year. And God knows we'd love to see the end of the war before the end of the year.
Hmm.
But at some point, they're going to be able to do it. And, I've said this before is I get pushback by the Votniks and the people who are
Sure.
pro-Russian about how uh, Russia is able to produce much larger quantities of drones than the Ukrainians are. Well, that's true to a certain extent, except for the fact that Russia's a one-trick pony when it comes to drones. They have the Shaheeds,
Hmm.
basically the Shaheeds, and then they have the FPV drones that they use along the front lines. Whereas what Ukraine has done is diversified their different drones. So they have a lot of different capabilities and a lot of different tools that they can pull from their toolbox. Whereas the Ukrainians can have drones that they use on the front lines to hit, bunkers and Russian soldiers. Then they have the medium range, which hit to their supply lines, and now these extended long-range drones, which are
Right.
going into their industrial. And this is what Zelensky said in Turkey today, is the fact that like they like to think that they have defense in depth, that they have long range. You can't hit so far back into Russia where they hit their industrial base. Well, that's not true, and it's increasingly
Right.
becoming apparent.
Well,
So
it's like a replay
they
of what
can,
happened with we've got all the cards, you've got none of the cards,
yeah,
and Russia has all the cards moment with the spider web or whatever it was attack.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, the for sheer scale and number,
Thank you so much,
I
Candy. By
would
the way, thank you
I
so
would
much.
be willing to acquiesce to the idea that the Russians can produce more drones, but what they don't have is a wide range of drones with different roles. Whereas Ukraine has been really smart about building capacity, not even just in the drones, but I mean, they have the Delta system, which is their command and control system, which is leaps and bounds better than what the Russians have.
Right.
So it's if you're Russian, then there's only one tool for everything is a nail, and you only have one tool, and that's shaheeds or ballistic missiles or what have you. But the Ukrainians have taken the approach of, we have a lot of different things that we can hit, a lot of different capabilities the Russians have, and because we have that, nobody's safe in Russia. And you see these telegram, aside from the people in their long lines to get gasoline, you also hear from Russians saying like, I can't believe they're hitting us. Like I like totally can't
Right.
believe that like downtown Moscow is getting hit.
They're
And
Gans. They're
that's part of the plan.
Gans. They're Gans in 48 hours. I can't believe it. I got shot. Right.
Yeah.
The turn of things is fascinating because Trump, one of his big things with the NATO summit was him touting that he was basically there just to sell weapons. It was like Deal of the Century was his favorite movie about weapons, and he just wants to be Chevy Chase in it, or and I guess Hegseth would be Gregory Hines. It would give you a little touch up to your flame job. But the irony after all that flap about we're going to let them build Patriots and Europe's buying all of our stuff and giving it to them, the U.S. is buying drones from Ukraine. They produce them in very large quantities. U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States will buy drones from Ukraine, and he's impressed by the Ukrainians' ability to produce them in very large quantities. I think he's marginally upset that that's part of his, like, we need to make stuff faster, so we should make drones and sell them. But man, these are great, and he's buying them because they're producing them quickly because they're in a war. He's like, we used to be able to ship a day. Like, yeah, motherfucker, when we were at war. That you'd rather build other stuff. How about a school a day, dum-dum, until you have plenty? How about a house, like a tract of homes a day or something like that? Like, how much more value would like one battleship's worth of houses be in the United States right now? Like, it's that simple. Like, why are you fucking bragging? You only have to do that when the world is at war. That sucks. We make great drones, but they have the ability to produce them in very large quantities, which is extremely impressive. It's amazing that in a war situation, they produce them. They do things that most countries cannot and have never been able to do. You are very gifted people, Ukrainians. And it's like, dude, like, tell me you know nothing about wartime in our own country.
Yeah, well, and it's it's amazing that he says that, because one of the reasons why the Ukrainians are able to produce at such capacity is because it's diversified, and they've got a lot of different, like, and I've been to these little 20-man, little 3D printing and welding and And they're just churning this out, and it's like a mom and pop shop
Yeah.
that is just all over the country, all over the country. It's not because they have massive factories that they're producing these things with. They're able to do this because the entire country is mobilized. I mean, sadly, unfortunately, I have to tell everybody, we're not going to have an episode this week, because I was trying really hard to get one of these companies that's doing this, that does anti-drone drones. So these are the vertical launch drones, and they're not able to spare me the time. So sadly, we're just not going to have an episode this week.
Little busy.
Yeah, a little bit busy. But it is so impressive to see that the entire country is mobilized and is unified. We're not going to have an episode this week, but if you haven't watched last week's episode that I did with the great Ken Harbaugh, who was recently here, and Ken did a deep dive, and he put out an article in the Atlantic magazine about women warriors who go into occupied territories. And one of the reasons they're able to do that is because it's not centralized. And so a lot of people are able to actually really do very small cells. So you do have command and control, but it's very, very it's very it's very much set up so that if any one element gets captured or destroyed, that the network, the system doesn't fall apart. And that is in complete contrast to what the Russians have organized their military and their military industrial complex, in that it is all centralized. It is all controlled by Moscow. There's a lot of reasons for that, and it's not all cynical, but part of it is that it's easier to skim off the top if everything is centralized.
Yeah.
It's not just that. It's also because that's just how they do things.
Yeah. But the fewer people you have in charge of stuff like that, and then the what more well off they are. This is the problem with having somebody like, Trump in charge of shit, is that as long as he's getting his palm greased, he's not paying attention to the details. And it's our own bureaucracy, which they shit on all the time, are the people who are going like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where are the tires we paid for all these vehicles? Where are all, these employees haven't gotten their paychecks yet. Those are the people. That's who Republicans are talking about when they say the deep state. Really.
Yeah.
And they wish there was an oligarchical system like this, that they could just flip a switch and suddenly America ran like that, because everything would be his crypto, meme coin scheme.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Wanted to show you one. Where is it? One more thing. Sorry. I'll grab it up in a second. I was pulling something I wanted to ask about this, but it was the the strikes inside the country, which he openly talked about in front of Trump, and Trump was very impressed by, it seems. But their focus on not hitting civilian sites and going, we're hitting, oil and gas refineries. The injury toll is even low, much less the death toll. And in contrast to the Russians striking apartment buildings and public buildings in the capital city and elsewhere.
Have we spoken since? When was the last time we spoke?
Saturday, was it? Yeah. No.
Was it after okay? Okay, so it was
after you were hit. I played the video of you being hit. We talked before you got hit, and then I played the video of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got hit less than a football field away from me. Mm-hmm. And that is going to continue to happen. And it sucks, and nobody likes it, and everybody's tired. and I talk to my, friends and colleagues, and we all kind of check in with one another and all the rest of it. And everybody's tired. Everybody's exhausted. But it's like, you know, we don't have a choice. And so like this kind of like, oh, I'm amazed at how strong you Ukrainian, amazing people, you Ukrainians. Well, it exposes his ignorance of what it is the Ukrainian people are fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they're not going to surrender to Russia. Of course they're not, of course they're going to, do everything that they possibly can to defend themselves, because the option is the destruction of their country and their culture, their language, their art, everything. And they've lived under that imperial colonialism for hundreds of years. So the fact that like, oh, I'm so surprised at like how amazing you Ukrainians are, you shouldn't be surprised. Mm-hmm. Nobody likes it. Nobody's having fun, but we'll be damned if we go down without a fight.
Right.
There's that, I watched over the 4th. I watched a couple of things. I watched Lincoln, which is, I think, a fantastic movie by Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
I watched,
That's the movie, by the way, that's the movie I always cite when people talk about method acting as if it's a real thing, when what they really mean is just keeping your accent during the whole shoot, which is perfectly fine, so you don't lose it. But here's my impersonation of a true method actor on set when the director says action. What could that possibly mean? What are these furry things on sticks around me? Who are these lights? These massive contraptions? What year is this? Like, that's like, you're not method, asshole.
You're demons. You're demons.
Yes, right. These lights that come with no flame.
What are these technological advances? Yeah.
Why are you powdering me? I sweat because of the heat.
It's H.G. Wells and the Morlocks.
That's right.
But
you watched Lincoln and you watched.
I watched Lincoln. I watched a couple other things, and then it wasn't particularly American, but I think it was apropos to mark the anniversary of one of the greatest conflicts we were ever involved with. And I watched Darkest Hour, which is admittedly a British movie. It's about Churchill, but there is that thing that he does throughout the entire movie of like, we don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. We don't have the option to give in to Hitler, because if we give in to Hitler, then there will be the swastika flying over Buckingham Palace. And that's where the Ukrainians are. And so for Trump to be so ignorant and unaware that of like, this is existential. This is everything. It's all or nothing. And, it just shows what, an ignorant amateur he is at this whole thing, So, you cannot, when will the lesson be learned?
Right.
You cannot negotiate with a tiger when your head is in its mouth.
In its mouth, yeah, right.
It's like, for God's sakes. I mean, and so like, you're surprised the Ukrainians are putting up a hell of a fight? Well, they're putting up a hell of a fight because they know that if they give up,
they'll die.
That's it.
They'll be enslaved. This is Russian imperialism. And you know what is interesting, because I've been balking lately at even calling this a war, because Trump, with his tap dance about it's a little excursion, it's a little military exercise, not a war. They don't like when I call it a war, but war sounds cooler, so I keep calling it war. Like that. In going back and forth, I hesitate in many ways to call this like the Russia-Ukraine war, because it's simply an invasion by Russia and Ukraine defending itself. Yeah. You don't have two countries that went, I like soccer, I like football, and they just decided that this is the last straw. We tried to talk this out, but I will meet you on the hustings, and slap each other with a glove, where war broke out because talks broke down. This was an invasion, unprovoked, and there is nothing warlike about Ukraine's defense of their country. It just isn't.
Whereas what we are doing in Iran is completely
Yeah.
of our own doing. Whereas what Ukraine is doing is responding to aggression by a neighbor. You can't compare these two things. So
Right.
look, it's just again another example. All of this, everything that I have seen out of the NATO summit has been just a complete display of our amateurishness within our I refuse to call it the Department of War. It is the Department of
Right. The
Defense.
Department of Defense. Yeah. The Pentagon.
Or whether it is the State Department or whether it is the executive branch. It's just amateur hour everywhere you turn.
But okay, again, that's the point.
And compare that to Ukraine or the Europeans.
Right. And that's the point. It's, Trump has a similar thing to Vladimir Putin, that if anybody even seems smarter than him, unless he views them as an executive assistant, like he does Marco Rubio, he doesn't want them to be, he clearly thinks Hegseth is a dumbass and will do what he wants. That's who he wants there. And if he started to have his own ideas in any major way, he'd want him kicked to the curb. This is how he thinks power should operate. And also, by the way, I think everybody in the chat room, you are completely forgiven if you ever fall asleep and you wake up and Our Darkest Hour is on and you think you're watching an Alfred Hitchcock biopic. It is completely reasonable. You can be forgiven to go, what am I? Why is he painting and what is going on? Who's this lady? Why is he shitting while he talks to his secretary? This has got to be Alfred Hitchcock. It sounds like his voice, right? So, anyways,
the other scene from that movie, from that movie that I love is seeing King George the Third, is it? Elizabeth's father with stutter, of course, from the King's Speech. There's a scene right before when he goes to see Churchill to say, "I'm going to support you," and he's on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, and the Luftwaffe are coming, and the Blitz is happening, and he says, I am acutely aware at this moment of being angry."
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we feel in Kiev.
Yeah.
We are angry. We are really, really angry. And it's every bomb they drop on this city, and every time that, Trump does this, these power plays and kind of fools around and plays games with providing defenses and things like that for Ukraine, I kind of think about that of like, I am acutely aware of being angry because fuck these guys.
Right.
So the idea that Ukraine would ever bend the knee to Russia again, that's long in the past.
Yeah. And we will see this as this continues, because I think the awareness of the trend in Ukraine's direction in this war is now, while it's not over by any stretch, and there's always danger and all this, the world, even the stragglers, are starting to recognize that this was a foolish exercise and clearly not worth the price in human lives when Putin started this shit out, and he's not going to win it. And his buddy Trump may not be riding to his rescue to help him carve off a big chunk of the country so that he could absorb it into Russia, along with a small chunk of Belarus. I have no doubt that he would be granted, and then start this shit again, in a couple of years, right before Trump's leaving office, so that it rolls into the next presidency. Like, do it, start the fighting season in the summer, because who gives a shit, of Trump's last year, the summer of Trump's last year, and then, do everything you can to slow the roll of the next president, whether it's a Democrat, which will more than likely be, or a Republican that's not in the tank, that they don't have, reams of video of him from the Epstein files and his shitty visits to their hotels. Also, I would like to add, they made a, hold on. They made a little, hold on, get back here, you silly thing. Of course it disappears right at that moment. Trump, just like, he's been brain farting all day. Yeah, here it is. This is a small compilation. This is when he's talking to the president of the country you are currently in and about him.
I told the story yesterday. We had 111.
Is that not playing?
I told the story yesterday. We had 111 missiles shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot at the aircraft. JCPOC. What a terrible deal. I call it the Obama nuclear waste deal, because what he did with that deal is he caused tremendous hardship in the Middle East. It was a terrible. You have a question for President Putin, please? Do you have a question for President Putin? Not Zelensky. Putin. Yeah, what would you like to ask him? Because I'm going to ask him that
Oh
question.
my God.
Last year,
Way to cover, dude. We totally bought it. I don't know about you. I totally bought it. I thought, yeah. Wouldn't you agree, Johnny Million? I'm not saying that you agree, Johnny Million. I'm just saying that when I talk to Johnny Million and he's where I'm pointing some point in the future, I'm going to pass that on. That was like, God, so fucking weak.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the audio clip on that clip was
it's
low, but it was just,
interesting him talking about the JCPOA, because, I was, as we've discussed in the past, I was working for Al Jazeera during the entire year that was negotiated. And that was not an easy negotiation. That was, every other...
Yeah. It took 2 years.
Every 6 weeks or so, I was on a plane to Geneva because they were having another round of talks to hash this thing out. That was a very difficult negotiation, incredibly difficult negotiation. And we're going to end up with something far worse than what that was, which is just, what a terrible deal that was. No, actually, it was a really good deal, and it was working.
It worked. And otherwise, again, you can't tear it up and say it's broken. Like, that, one of the dumbest parts of this is that Trump's like, what a terrible deal. Like, and you didn't even have a replacement for it before you got rid of it. Like, he does this with like the ACA. Obamacare is terrible. It's the worst. Well, if it's the worst and you can't come up with anything better than the worst, what the hell does that say about you? In theory, even the pedestrian idea you have that you can get through Congress and everybody agrees on would be better than the worst. And the same thing applies here. Like, it's so bizarre because everything he does has to be the greatest ever and like nobody's ever seen before. And everything that was done by anybody else, sucked and was the worst and nobody's seen anything like it, blah, blah, blah. When that's
November
your talking
can't
point,
come soon enough.
Oh my God, yeah. The interesting thing is a bunch of talk on the right about him self-dealing and the money he made, and while he's been president. Now, why do you think they're upset about that? You think they're upset because he fleeced the government and supported his own properties and made money? No, because he made 400 years worth of presidential salary just golfing at his own properties, because we have to bring the Secret Service down. Everybody in he's dealing with in the cabinet, they all stay at his properties or are paid for at nearby properties by government funds. and he charged above retail for his own security detail in Doral and in Scotland and in at Mar-a-Lago. He fleeces the taxpayer. Mr. I'm rich, I don't need any money, is having the rent paid by the taxpayer. 400 years worth of presidential salary just golfing in his last term. He's already on course to break that, and he golfs less. He's just hanging out at his properties more and charging them more, I have no doubt. But the idea I want to show one thing real quick. There was about the Iran deal, the memorandum of understanding. And one of the things I wish a reporter would bring up is it sounds like to me that Ukraine is having the same problem with Russia that you're having with Iran. Everything they agree to, even if it's just a pause in fighting, is really just a reason to rearm and start shit again. They lie. They move the goalpost all the time. They want to control the strait the way Russia wants to control all of Ukraine and then move into Europe and Poland. They keep doing that. It's very similar. The rhetoric he bitches about from Iran and the rhetoric that Ukraine has to deal with from Russia and the bullshit from them is identical. Now, also, I would like to say for the record, the one difference here in one of these things is not like the other. The Ukrainians aren't doing the same thing to Russia. I think they're sincere, Zelensky's fuck you letter aside, I think they're relatively sincere in wanting to find a way to end this, and that doesn't end up giving away their country. But Trump has been bullshitting the Iranians right back. Like, I don't know why he tore up the deal, so I don't know how you make a deal with the dude who tore up the last one. It's stupid. So the back and forth, I would love to see them bring up that parallel. Russia makes a lot of promises, has a lot of ceasefire stuff, and really just rearms themselves and never negotiates, and lies about what was said or what they were promised. And they say you've given them things that you haven't. Sounds just like your problem with the Iranian deal. And Iran, sells drones to Russia and vice versa. They sell military hardware to Iran. Are they in partnership against you and Western civilization? Ask a Proud Boy. I don't know. It just seems like that question needs to be brought up.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the backside of this guy. It's exhausting.
And sorry, I got distracted too earlier. The big reason why the maggots are upset about the graft isn't about his spending. It's because they all got fleeced by his Trump coin shit, and he's screwing them. Like, I didn't lose money, and you didn't lose money, and nobody in my audience lost money on, stock in Trump Media and Technology Group and his stupid fucking meme coin or the Melania coin. But maggots did. Like, what is it? $380 million.
Yeah.
On that alone, on like. So he's fleecing it again. I don't want to stop him. I hesitate to even bring it up. Keep fleecing your flock. I give a shit. It's your flock. If they're dumb enough to give you that shit, take it. That's the one part of the Barnum and Bailey world that he lives in. I'm like, the problem with voters, and if this is why he was never the head of a company that actually had a board or shareholders, is that they have a say. And when you go against it, they balk about it. And we go, whoa, wait a second. The dumbasses who bought into this, fuck them. But you're taking my money too. That's where the taxpayer is right now. But if somebody is dumb enough to buy Trump Media and Technology Group stock when it's $90 a share, it's at $7.65 right now. Fuck them. And I don't want to even stop. I want to watch it go to $1. I want him to, I don't. I want it to go to $30 before it goes to $1. I want him to pump and dump these motherfuckers until they learn their lesson. Because it's no skin off our nose. It's not our money. So this is
what I'd love to see afterwards is for those funds to be seized once he's out of office.
Oh yeah,
and be like, we're gonna take all that money you got and we're gonna put it into infrastructure or whatever.
Absolutely, or start homeless shelters with it. Like it all goes to Habitat for Humanity, Mr. Builder. That's what he was like. I've been a builder, whatever. Like the dude is fucking, he couldn't read a blueprint with a gun to his head. It's so stupid. They're props. He carries props around. He doesn't understand how a schematic works. He just doesn't. My dad was an architect.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. All right, let me show you one thing real quick. This is the Iran deal. This is the current state of the Iran deal.
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people.
By the way, in case you don't know what scum is, it's the stuff in the reflecting pool.
And if they had a nuclear
Thanks for the visual aid, sir.
weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, we can read the memorandum of understanding. We can read that you didn't discuss it and that you were going to discuss it later. That was tabled. The MOU does not deal with the nuclear issue at all. They put the same fucking bullshit boilerplate in there that they always put in. And the last clause in the MOU is, you know, the part about denuclearization and the stuff about us not funding our proxies and the other stuff that's in there. None of that applies until sanction relief happens. So until you do 4, 5, and 6 and 10, the rest of it is all fart air. That's what it says. That's what the last part of the actual MOU says. It does. You sign this, and you're only signing half of the contract until half of the contract is done. Then the next part of the contract kicks in. That's what it is. Like it's so.
Meanwhile, he is sitting across from a man who is negotiating with Vladimir Putin, who has never, ever upheld any agreement that he has made with the Ukrainians.
You say that like it's a bad thing. You know, Trump is like, he just does it. Everybody in his country loves him. He's so scared of him and stuff. That's so awesome. He just lies right to everybody's face and nobody can do anything. If a member of the fake press, some woman from a paper asks him a nasty question, he just chucks her out a fucking window. Those were the days, right?
Yeah, we'll have a ceasefire for Victory Day over World War II, and then he bombs the crap out of Ukraine like the second afterwards because he's been building up a stockpile of weapons. I mean, he sits across from Zelensky, whose country has been betrayed by any kind of negotiation he's ever had, and he gets all bitchy about the Iranians. They're scum. They don't hold true to their word. It's like, Zelensky sitting there going, yeah, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what that's like at all.
And like Trump having this 90-minute phone call with Vladimir Putin on July 4th. And that doesn't bug the maggots at all. That's not weird. It stacks right up there with the group of 7 or whatever Republicans that went to Russia on July 4th with no handlers and translators, no note takers, and a semi-official visit. They went on fucking July 4th. Why? Because he summoned them. Because at that point, if you'll recall, that was the Maria Butina money years. That's where the Russians were funneling money through the NRA into their races. The NRA couldn't raise fucking funds 1-to-1 in the United States to pay for all these candidates and be one of the biggest donors. Are you out of your fucking mind? They're not a defense contractor with deep pockets. They got members like the fucking, I don't know, the ACLU or something like that, right? People, they like. And they don't even have the ads, with W. Kamau Bell, who's a lovely human being, by the way. they didn't even have that ability, like that money. So where was all this money coming from? It was coming from Russia. Maria Butina and all these fuckers were funneling, millions over the year, probably, over a couple of $1 billion through the NRA into Republican candidacies, foreign money from an adversarial country that spies on us on the regular, funneling money through an NGO, because that's what NRA is. The NRA is an NGO. It's just the maggots like that one, so they don't call it that. It's a non-governmental organization, but fighting for political rights. And that money came through her, where she was knocking boots with a couple of senators and passing the money along. Cue the outrage about Fang or whatever. And as soon as like that money, like those 7 senators went over to Russia, basically because of that, they knew the money they were getting from the NRA came out of Russian pockets. They knew it, and so if Putin knocked on his desk and said, "Get your ass in here," they had to go because he could tighten the noose. He could tighten the sphincter, as it were, of the flow of shit.
Yeah, I mean, he could, all those transfers we made to the bank you have in the Caymans.
Right.
We can let that be known public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is
it's insane. I mean, this is some good things have come out of this NATO meeting.
Yeah.
The Europeans are getting more unified. The Canadians have made some amazing announcements about what they're going to be providing for Ukraine. But, big surprise, yet again on the global stage, our leadership shows itself to be completely incompetent. So, look, the NATO summit will come and go. I don't think that, despite what he says about like they're going to let Ukraine start making their own patriots. Okay, all right, great.
That's years down the road.
Let's accelerate that program. I'm all for it. Wonderful. But, what's increasingly becoming apparent, and what I think a lot of the MAGA world and Trump himself hasn't yet realized is we're increasingly becoming irrelevant. That the Ukrainians are going to do what the Ukrainians are going to do. I mean, one of the things we've seen about them hitting the shadow fleet, hitting deep into the heart of Russia, hitting their chemical, fossil fuel infrastructure, that is all because there's no restraint, because there's no carrot and stick for them with America anymore. And the Trump administration is too stupid. And the Department of Defense under Hegseth and the State Department under Rubio and all the rest of it are too stupid to realize that what you've done is allow Ukraine to get off the leash, and they're going to do what they're going to do because you don't have the cards. In the words of the Oval Office,
the parlance of our times.
Yeah,
in the parlance of our times, man. That's fucking interesting. That's fucking interesting, man. So the other, okay, we only got a couple minutes left. I do want to, I will push back on one thing, and that is the irrelevance aspect of it, because I think they know that the United States, the military and the industrial and the FinSec power of the United States is incredibly strong and necessary. That's why NATO is kissing his ass. That they've just decided this is how they get leverage. On a normal president, you get leverage because he will do the right thing. When it comes to Trump, if you want him to do the right thing, you either have to kiss his ass in such a way that's egregiously fucking ridiculous, so he just thinks you're his buddy and he's finally got a friend on the playground, or you have to convince him that the right thing to do is the wrong thing to do, and he'll do it to spite somebody up else he doesn't like. He'll fuck with the press, where like, you'll look like a tough guy if you do this. You'll look like a strong leader. They'll put you on Rushmore for this shit. That they know that it's the Macron handshake. I've been saying for a long time, like, Macron got it early, and Ruda has fucking perfected the system. Bringing his own little, we call this the Trump trillions. That's like, that's the money that is coming into NATO now. That is your win, sir.
I will meet you halfway on this in the sense that that may be true, but I think NATO and the Europeans have come to an understanding that we can't expect the Americans to be helpful. The
Oh
best
no.
thing we can hope is that they don't do any harm. So I think
Right.
you have a valid point there in that they are playing Trump, and he is so
I also
easily
think,
manipulable.
yeah,
But
I also think,
I do think
yeah,
that the Europeans are at a point where they're like, just let him go have his toys. Let's appease his ego.
right,
As long as he doesn't fuck shit up, just let him
right.
feel like a
Give him a
big
plane to
boy
play with.
in
Well,
your
that's what
big boy pants.
the
Ooh,
cabinet is doing with him.
look at the big stinky you made in your diaper. What a
Right.
big boy you are. What a big boy you are. And then he goes back to Washington and we'll do our own shit. I
Well, and that's
think
the
that's where they
same.
are.
That's what the cabinet does. Give him something to sign and show around like he made a poo-poo diaper, and then drag him around to like the sites and let him pick out tiles. They're doing the Europeans are learning it as much from his own cabinet, from Susie Wiles, as they are from Macron and Ruda. But the reality, the other part of this, obviously, is that Zelensky, I think, has finally learned also that acquiescing to Trump's demands and trying to appease him for that stuff, he doesn't respect that at all. And as a matter of fact, like kicking ass on the battlefield and looking like a tough guy, you don't go there and try to appeal to Trump's better nature. You go and make it look like, hey, man, if you don't side with me, you're siding with the pussy. And that's what he means. I didn't mean to point in your direction on that one. But you know what I mean? That's what he's doing. Like,
No, I get you.
kick Russia's ass and then go, we're just kicking their ass. And Trump's like, what an ass kicker, huh? Like, that's what he does. So before they were like, they're almost treating him like they would treat Biden or any sensible European leader or anybody who's like, look, we don't want to invade Russia. But to like get Trump on board, you can, if you literally in a meeting with him, like, the truth is we're fighting very hard right now, but if we wanted to take Russia, we could do it tomorrow. And Trump would be like, you guys are the fucking boss. Because, maybe 8 years ago or something, he might not have. But now his brain is fucking tapioca, and he's massaging the thighs of UFC fighters and farmers. He's like an old lady chewing ice when she's horny. And if a tough guy's like, if Zelensky's just like, fucking bro this up, like, honest to God, I think Trump went on Rogan because he has a crush, not because he wanted to reach the audience. And I think that appeals to him more. Being a tough guy appeals to him more than, even the respect part.
It's all about PR. It's all about PR with him. It always has been.
That's right. Puerto Rican
Didn't build a
statehood.
damn thing, just put his name on stuff.
That's right. I appreciate you being with me, and I know you're tired, so
It's okay, buddy. It's okay, buddy. I'm sad to say I apologize to my audience, who I know have a common index, but we tried to set something up this week and it just fell apart. So,
Yeah.
but we'll try and get something on for next week, and I'll talk to you on Saturday. And obviously, I think everybody can recognize that I'm fucking beat, tired. I'm really, really tired, as we all are, Everybody in Kiev, especially, but around Ukraine, we're fucking tired, man. And it doesn't change our resolve. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here, and all of it. But I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't just really, really fucking knocked out. And we all are. So
of course,
it's okay. It's all right. It's not. It is what it is. There are things worth fighting for, and there are things that you pay a cost for. And I'm a big boy. And I've made the equation. I've weighed it out, and it's worth it to me because this is important. This is important. What's happening here is important, and it's tied with what's happening in Washington. It's tied with what's happening all around the globe, and as much as I need a good long night of sleep, which I may or may not get. The more important thing is that we stand strong against these pricks, whether it's Trump or Putin. I put them together purposefully. It's the same sort of mentality. So I appreciate everybody's concern and kind thoughts about getting some sleep and all the rest of it, and I will. But more important than anything else, we got to fight these pricks.
Yep.
We got to fight them.
Agreed. Thank you so much,
All right,
brother.
buddy.
All right. I'll see you on Saturday.
You will indeed.
Excellent.
Come hell or high water.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
There he goes. And he's going to get some sleep. Yeah. Yeah, the Eugene Carroll thing popped yesterday, and Trump's trying to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court. He's going to lose, and the Supreme Court is going to have to rule over a case where he was called a rapist, and he's going to have to suck it up because his own people are going to side against, or not, or I guess not even take it up, which is tacitly agreeing with it. Before I go, I want to thank Candy again for that super chat. That was so lovely. Thank you so much. And Jason, thank you for the Trump is one dumb motherfucker. And then it's same thing with Alicia. Thank you so much for the super chat. And Angela, thank you. House Parks 2026. All right, yeah, that's if I move to my mom's house in Kentucky and use that as my address and run for Senate. It's not out of the question. But Jerry knows I'm running for president next time, so we'll get there. I'm doing a soft launch, kind of like putting the bat signal everywhere, in the early days. So yeah, they did decline to hear it, but he thinks he's going to punt it back. There was this story that he thinks they're going to take it up once they fight it in another. Like, he thinks he's going to get another shot at the apple. He's not. He's just not. It's so stupid. That said. What else? Do I have a... Hold on.
It's time for a shameless plug. Oh, yeah. It's shameless plug time.
That's right. Why is my shameless plug thing behind me? How did that happen? Where? Oh, the promos thing got moved. Wait, hold on. There it is. You silly thing. Yeah, it should go. Quit it. Taking it up here. Goes in front of things. I made that for a reason. For God darn. Let's see. Movie. I think that's the vertical one. Yeah. Is that the one? Hold on. Yeah. Is this the one? Hold on. Yeah, there you go. All right. So this is the one that goes up here. Just doing little crafts on my show. So I'll be at the Barrel Proof Lounge a week from Friday in Santa Rosa, California. And it's going to be a good time. And I think that might be the same venue that Nerd Halen is playing later in the year. Yeah. We're adding some LA dates. And also the Ultimate Jam Night. Do I have, that's the other thing too, is I need to open up. What are you doing? Okay, sorry. Let's see. Do we have this guy? Oh yeah, it's behind there. So okay. Put that in promo. There we go. Put this in promo. And then, it's behind the thing now. It went away. Boink. Did it show up? Hold on. Oh, this thing gets to show up. Oh, it's a bunch of stuff all at once. That's hilarious. Okay, we get that out of there. I got stuff. Okay, Sexy Liberal is coming to L.A. and go away, San Jose. There you go. And October 24th, 2026, 8 o'clock, Saban Theater, Beverly Hills. It's going to sell out, just so you know, if it hasn't already. I'm not up on these things. I just go and do my job. So, but I have faith. As will Santa Rosa. There are some Patreons, I think, that are coming to one or either. Let me know, and you and a guest can come if you're a Patreon. If two Patreons are coming together, they can bring two strangers, I guess. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. I'm more concerned, honest to God, about who you might bring to a Nerd Halen show on a personal level, because yeah, they once we get to the deep tracks, you can't, if we play the kidney.
Kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Welcome back. So, thanks for subscribing on Facebook. By the way, I think we're live streaming okay on Patreon as well, but on the Facebook page, Substack, I'm on. Is the Kick thing flying? I don't even know if it's working, quite frankly. I know we're on there, but I don't know if that's meaningful in any way. They some of these sites tend to kick me off after a little bit, like Rumble. Yeah, we're up on Kick for nobody, I think. Yeah, if you're on Kick, so if you have an account on there, just kick me over there. And Facebook, good people, how are you? Give me a frowny face on the show and the clips. That would really help. And then, of course, at houseparks.com, you can watch the show on the streaming page. And I will see you guys later, because I've got to go check in for my flight tomorrow as I go to Chicago for the Hody Bash on Friday, which is a charity event I'm co-hosting. And so I'm flying out tomorrow, which means the afternoon show should be okay, because we're landing early enough. It might be a little late, because we got to get into we're using the hotel. Hopefully it has internet worthy of the show. I will do my best to kind of set it up ahead of time, but I won't be able to schedule it because I don't trust it. That said, hit the like, share the show, share the clips, share the long form chunks of what do we call them? Chunks? I think we call them chunks. And if you're on Twitch, you can make clips. I don't know if you know that. You can make a clip of a moment and you can post them on other socials, and it's pretty easy. And that would help. There you go. And then if not, just hang out. Just come by and see me, But we will have a lot of video. I might retread a couple of moments later this afternoon of Trump saying, the Islamic Republic of Japan and shit. But they'll be what I will be combing for, and I think CSL we should keep an eye out for, is anybody on the right that watched this live, like Glenn Beck, or played any of it. See if they react. Yeah? See if when he says the Islamic Republic of Japan, how's their reaction? Huh? Are they going, where the fuck is Jake Tapper? Right? Is that really it? What is Kick? You haven't heard that one? It's a knockoff Twitch. No offense to the 0 people that are over there right now. But I do it on Kick and Rumble just to fuck with people, because it's a free stream, so I just throw it on there. I have no idea if it's even a legit site at this point. Yeah, you know it too, CSL. You know it. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Hold on. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? That's a sad thing that no man should ever have to say out loud. All right, I will see you guys this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Mega Worldwide. It's like University of Illinois.
disconnected. Where'd you go? And what the hell did I expect? Staring at your empty bedroom, counting my regrets. All those days we spent pretending